The Nexus station's cantina hummed with the usual cacophony of a dozen different species conducting business, drowning sorrows, or simply passing time between hyperspace jumps. Crystalline chimes from the Etherian merchants mixed with the guttural barks of Krillian traders, while the soft whispers of the telepathic Mindari created an undercurrent of psychic static that made everyone slightly on edge. In the corner booth, Maya Chen sat perfectly still, her dark eyes scanning the crowd with the casual alertness of someone who had learned long ago that survival depended on awareness. To most observers, she appeared unremarkable, a young human woman in standard Spacer's clothing, nursing a synthetic alcohol substitute that glowed faintly blue in her glass. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her posture suggested someone completely at ease. The other patrons gave her booth a wide berth, though few could articulate exactly why. Perhaps it was the way she moved, too controlled, too precise. Perhaps it was how she never quite turned her back to any entrance. Or perhaps it was simply the instinctive recognition that predators developed when encountering something higher up the food chain. Maya had been enjoying the relative peace when Vorac and his crew swagger into the cantina. The hegemony enforcer stood nearly 3 meters tall, his chitinous purple exoskeleton gleaming under the station's artificial lights. His mandibles clicked in what passed for insectoid laughter as he surveyed the room, clearly looking for entertainment. The cantina fell noticeably quieter as Vorac's presence registered. Even the Krillians, usually boisterous and aggressive, seemed to shrink back slightly. The hegemony had a reputation throughout this sector brutal, efficient, and completely without mercy for what they considered lesser species. Maya continued sipping her drink, apparently oblivious to the shift in atmosphere. Vorac's compound eyes eventually fixed on her corner booth, and something resembling a smile spread across his alien features. He moved toward her with the predatory gait of someone accustomed to being the most dangerous thing in any room, his 2 enforcement drones hovering silently behind him. Well, Vorac's translator rendered his clicking speech into standard. What do we have here? A little Deathworlder, all alone. Maya's eyes flicked up from her drink to meet his gaze, but she said nothing. Her expression remained completely neutral. Do you know who I am, little mammal? Vorac leaned forward, placing one of his forearms on her table. The metal groaned under the pressure. I am Sector Enforcer Vorac of the Hegemony 4th Fleet. These pathetic creatures around us pay me tribute for the privilege of breathing the same air. Still, Maya said nothing. She took another sip of her drink. Vorac's mandibles twitched with irritation. In his experience, fear was the natural response to his presence. This human's calm was unsettling. But he had dealt with defiant prey before. Perhaps you need a lesson in proper respect, he hissed, reaching out with one clawed appendage toward Maya's face. That was his first mistake. Maya's hand moved faster than most beings in the cantina could track, catching Vorac's wrist and stopping it centimeters from her cheek. The insectoid's eyes widened in surprise. Very few species possess the reflexes to match hegemony speed. His second mistake was trying to pull free. Maya's grip tightened, and the sound of cracking chitin filled the suddenly silent cantina. Vorac's pained screech echoed off the walls as he tried to jerk back, but the small human woman held him effortlessly in place. You should have stayed in your own sector, Maya said quietly, her voice carrying clearly in the silence. Her tone was conversational, almost friendly, which somehow made it infinitely more terrifying. Vorac's other 3 arms lashed out simultaneously, a coordinated attack that would have overwhelmed most opponents. Maya caught 2 of them with her free hand while simply leaning aside to avoid the third. The casual nature of the defensive movement sent a ripple of shocked murmurs through the watching crowd. Impossible, Vorac gasped. You're just a Deathworlder, a primitive mammal. Maya's expression shifted slightly, and for the first time, something resembling emotion crossed her features. It wasn't anger exactly, but rather the cold satisfaction of someone whose patience had finally run out. "Just a Deathworlder," she repeated softly. That was when Vorac realized his third and final mistake. Maya rose from her seat in one fluid motion, maintaining her grip on 3 of his limbs. The height difference meant nothing. She simply lifted the 3-meter alien into the air, as if he weighed nothing at all. His 4th arm flailed uselessly as his feet left the ground. "Let me explain something about Deathworlders," Maya said, her voice still conversational. "We don't evolve on garden worlds with controlled climates and peaceful ecosystems. We crawl out of gravity wells that would crush most species, from planets where everything, the weather, the animals, the plants, even the bacteria, is actively trying to kill us." She shifted her grip slightly, and more cracking sounds emerged from Vorac's exoskeleton. "We survive ice ages and asteroid impacts. We tame apex predators and make them into pets. We look at the vacuum of space and see it as merely another ocean to cross." The enforcement drones finally reacted, their weapons powering up with high-pitched whines. Maya glanced at them dismissively. "And we do all of this in gravity. That's twice what you consider normal." With seemingly no effort at all, Maya spun and hurled the massive insectoid across the cantina. Vorac's body struck the far wall with a thunderous crash that shook the entire station section. The sound of his spine snapping was audible even over the impact. The enforcement drones hesitated, their programming apparently struggling to process what they had just witnessed. Before they could resolve their confusion, Maya had already returned to her seat, picked up her drink, and resumed sipping as if nothing had happened. Vorac lay crumpled against the wall, his nervous system mercifully shutting down before the pain could fully register. His breathing was labored but steady. He would live, though he would never walk again. Maya finished her drink in the absolute silence that followed, placed a few credit chips on the table, and stood. As she walked toward the exit, every being in the cantina moved aside, creating a clear path. Just before she reached the door, she paused and spoke without turning around. "The hegemony isn't welcome in this sector anymore. Pass that along." And with that, the Deathworlder girl left, her footsteps echoing in the silence, long after she had disappeared into the station's corridors. Behind her, the cantina slowly began to return to life, though the conversations were now conducted in whispers, and everyone gave Vorac's crumpled form a very wide berth indeed.